You ever walk into your own house and feel like you just stumbled onto a TV set? Only the show is your life and you're the punchline. That's exactly what happened to me. I pushed open the door of my lakeside cabin expecting pine needles and peace, and instead found a total stranger in a sun hat staging my living room like an HGTV finale. Throws on my chairs, fresh flowers. I'd never bought tripods set up for the perfect lake view. She even had a listing pulled up on her phone, Lakefront Zen Sanctuary, $450 a night, secluded luxury 5-star reviews. Before I could even get out, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" She dialed 911 and started telling the cops I was the intruder. Ever had someone rob you and then try to get you arrested for it? I stood there watching her talk to dispatch, and it wasn't just theft. It was like she was erasing me, taking my memories, repainting them, and slapping a price tag on everything I cared about. My name is Dylan Cooper. I'm 34. I do freelance interior design, and this cabin tucked up by Pine Lake, after 8 years of saving, was my sanctuary. Or so I thought until this random Friday, when one impulsive trip out of Chicago dropped me into the wildest HOA fever dream you could imagine. So there I am, staring at this woman moving around my cabin like she owns the place, and she turns to me with this cheery, "Oh, Dylan, you're back early. I'm just optimizing your cabin for you." Like we're old pals. I'm Karen Mitchell, president of the Pine Lake Community Homeowners Association. I've been maximizing the potential of your property. She shows me her phone bookings, already scheduled professional photos she's clearly just taken. I tell her as calmly as I can manage, "This is my house. You have no right to be here or rent it out." She just laughs. "You obviously haven't read the bylaws. When a property's unused, the HOA can optimize it for the community. I'm helping you. I'm helping all of us." You ever have someone lie to your face with so much confidence you almost wonder if you're the crazy one? For a second, I honestly thought, did I miss something in the paperwork when I bought this place? Nope. I'd read every page. There was no HOA. Karen either believed her own fantasy or she was running a scam. But when she called the cops, calmly reporting an agitated trespasser, it hit me. This wasn't her first rodeo. 15 minutes later, Deputy Johnson arrives, all tired eyes and slow drawl, and Karen's ready. She's got a portfolio, fake paperwork, a badge that says Community Property Manager. She hands him bylaws, a fake management authorization, everything. Meanwhile, my actual proof of ownership is locked up at the bank, which is, of course, closed for the weekend. No deed, no lawyer, just my keys and my word. Johnson stuck one person with keys, one with papers, both with a story. "This is a civil dispute," he says. "Dylan, I'm going to have to ask you to leave until you can bring proof on Monday." I packed a bag while Karen stood on my porch, giving me that victorious, patronizing speech about property management transitions and how I'd see things differently once I calmed down. And right before I left, she tossed out a line about the previous owner like it was just another episode of her favorite scam show. The more I replayed it, the more I realized I wasn't the first, just the latest. That night in the motel, I went full internet detective searching Pine Lake HOA's Karen Mitchell. Nothing legit. No county records, no real filings, just a slick website, fake meeting minutes, a dues payment page. The more I dug, the more obvious it was. This was smoke and mirrors, but she was damn good at it. Then twist number 1. Betty Walsh shows up at my motel room. Early 50s. Hard Hands lived next door for 15 years, and she's carrying a manila envelope thick with receipts. "You're not the first. And you won't be the last, unless someone stops her." Betty lays it out. Karen's done this before. She did it in Minnesota. Ran a resort into the ground, vanished after legal trouble popped up here with the same playbook. Target absentee owners create confusion, get them so exhausted they sell cheap to her investors. It's not even clever, just relentless and professional. Betty has proof, old ads, screenshots, letters, even photos of a software guy from Minneapolis who got steamrolled by the same scam. But here's the kicker. Karen's latest project is illegal construction. She's dumping chemicals, building platforms out over the lake without permits, trashing the ecosystem. Betty's got photos, oil slicks, dead fish, floating debris. This is how she finally screwed herself in Minnesota, Betty says. She always gets greedy and goes too far. By Sunday night, I had a plan. If I wanted my home back, I needed to play along, get close, and gather real evidence enough to sink her. Monday morning, I called Karen and pretended to make peace, pitching myself as an interior designer who could help boost rentals even more. She couldn't resist. We set a meeting at the cabin and I went undercover. By the time I got there, Karen was going full resort developer, more props inside, but outside was the real shock crews building a floating deck system. No safety, no permits, just chaos and fuel leaking into the lake. Permits, I asked, playing dumb. She actually winked at me. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Once it's built, no one tears it down. I smiled and quietly reactivated my old security cameras, getting everything on video pollution instructions to hide the mess her bragging about scamming other owners. By Thursday, Karen was planning a fake investor presentation. She even gave me a folder transfer papers for the whole property legalese so dense it would make a lawyer sweat. Just a formality, she purred as if I'd really sign away my life to her holding company. I told her I was all in while loading up a complaint for the state environmental department, complete with photos, test results, and audio of her confessing. Friday morning was the main event. Karen had dressed the floating platform like a wedding venue. White linens, catered food, a mini stage for her TED Talk. Her investors arrived, sharp suits, smooth moves, asking all the right questions. Only I could tell they weren't real investors. Just more actors in the scam. As Karen hit her crescendo, preaching about sustainable development while standing on a toxic oil slick, I send my full complaint to the DNR, the sheriff, and Deputy Johnson. I watched with binoculars from Betty's cabin as the state boat slid up to my dock. Karen tried to play it cool. We maintain excellent relationships with regulators, but when the environmental inspector started collecting samples and snapping photos, you could see the mask slipping. Dead fish, chemical sheen, trash everywhere. The evidence wasn't just overwhelming, it was impossible to ignore. Johnson showed up, recognized the pattern, and pulled Karen aside for questioning. She shot me one last desperate look. Tell them you approved all this and I finally dropped the act. You want to know what I approved, Karen? Every recording and photo that's about to send you to prison. She realized then she'd lost. The state inspector called for a hazardous materials team. Deputy Johnson, now fully on my side, presented my ownership documents and listed her charges: environmental crimes, fraud, trespassing. As Karen was cuffed and led away, still shrieking that she was being persecuted, still convinced she was the victim. I stood by the ruined shoreline and watched the cleanup begin. Betty joined me, quiet but relieved, and for the first time in a week I felt the place was truly mine again. Karen went down hard, 5 years in federal prison, all assets seized, and warning sent out statewide about her scam. The fake HOA was dissolved, her accomplices tracked down, and what was left of her so-called resort portfolio was just a folder of dreams and destruction. The lake took months to heal, but every morning I watched it get a little better. Clear water, fish coming back, no more construction, no more guests treating my father's old field journal like a coaster. 6 months later, the flyers started popping up 3 towns over, same scam, different face. Some people never learn, or maybe it's just that there are always more marks out there. I built a new sign for my driveway private cabin. No HOA, no rentals, no nonsense. Call it overkill, but now the cabin's just mine, quiet, wild, and a reminder that some things really are worth fighting for. Here's the thing, there will always be Karens in the world looking for an easy score, thinking nobody's watching. But there are also Bettys and people like you and me who know what home really means. If you've ever dealt with a scammer, a bully, an HOA president who thought she was queen, drop your story in the comments. Is this justice? Is it enough? Or is this just round one in a bigger fight about community ownership and what's worth protecting? Let's hear it. What would you have done?